Viking Football with Bruce Barnum once again. The Portland State Vikings coming off another victory, 59-42 over Montana State. Vikings are now 5-1 on the season. Coach, we're in the middle of that October stretch that we were very concerned about. So far, it's going pretty well.
It is. Knock on wood, Mike. We got a couple. The kids are playing excellent football right now for 60 minutes. The effort is there, and it's given us a chance. It's not perfect football. There's a lot to work on still, but their effort and their wanna right now is giving us a chance on Saturday.
Now, we went into the Montana State game knowing the Vikings were playing the best offensive team in the Big Sky Conference. Something you told me a year ago, you don't win games in the Big Sky kicking field goals. To me, the key play in the game offensively was going for it on fourth down there in the first quarter, 4th and 3. You said we got to get a touchdown, even though it would have been a short field goal. Vikings convert that fourth down, go on to score a touchdown, score on 8 straight possessions.
It was. That was a great effort again, Mike, by the football team. It was a long fourth down. It wasn't short. And we converted there. And it might have helped attitude, put a little skip in their step for the rest of the series on offense. But if you're going to win, especially against a team like Montana State, you can't be kicking field goals.
School record 465 rushing yards. Of course, David Jones getting the accolades for going for 285. But I think, being the old coach that you are, you're probably going to give a lot of credit to the guys up front.
They are. You know, it's kind of a we talked last night. The group I talked to and gave kudos to in the team meeting was the offensive line. They had 2 guys banged up, had some guys who had to step in. Mike Davis was playing it, on an ankle that was probably 70%. So, into the group, David also. That was the hero quote of the day, to allow him to get the press and the awards and that. But it went to that whole group, and that's how they approach it. It's a group right now that is playing as one, like we talked about the defense. And they had a day which allowed us to stay ahead of Montana State.
And now your defense gave up more points than they'd given up all season. Not really a big surprise when you talk about how good Montana State is on offense. Was there any time during that game, at least in the first half, when it was still really in doubt, that there were any concerns on defense about the productivity that the Bobcats were able to come up with?
Concerns, no. They just kept playing. Mike, we knew Montana State was going to score. You don't stop a prolific offense like that in a program. And Prukop's lighting it up right now nationwide. So we knew we were going to take our hits, and it was kind of who's going to, make that one stop. And that's what it turned into. Your classic Big Sky, who's got the ball last. And our defense was able to come up with a couple stops. We had some adversity there in the turnover on our side of the field, and I thought that was the best play of the day. You have the early one in the first half, but on that fourth down, when Prukop, he's used to taking off. He's fun to watch, and our defense corralled him. Devon Dade gets a touch, turnover for us. I saw that as a key play.
Yeah, the fourth down there in the fourth quarter when the Vikings still only had that 2-score lead. The Vikings get the stop, get the football back, and basically are on their way to victory from there on. All right, let's move on to Cal Poly. Cal Poly, 2-4 on the season. That's not very impressive, but when you take a look at the schedule they've played 5 top 15 teams and Arizona State. So they've had probably the toughest schedule in the Big Sky, maybe the toughest schedule in the nation. So what do we look at as we go in there? We know they got that great triple option offense.
They do. They have, number one, a great coaching staff. Tim has put together a staff down there that's been cohesive for a while. They're excellent at the game of football, but in their system fits who they are. So it's a fundamental, tough group that we're going to have to be at our best to have a chance at Cal Poly.
Vikings gave up 470 rushing yards last year to Cal Poly. You probably don't like hearing that number, so obviously some adjustments need to be made. Cal Poly has won the last 3 times these teams have met, based mainly on that running game. What's the defensive approach this week?
First off, the team. Let's back up a little bit, Mike. We are in just cause. I've never had it done this much in my career, but again, we're not picked to win this football game. And again, we're the homecoming team for Cal Poly, which is very interesting. We've seen a lot. It's like Groundhog Day. Everywhere we go, we're homecoming.
Well, you keep winning games, and then you get off of that homecoming schedule. That's the good news.
Well, we did some bad things last year and they should have chose us this year, honestly, after the thrashing we took down there last year. But we've seen a lot of pageantry at each stop, and we like playing on the road. But defensively, it's discipline. It's when you finally figure out who does have the football, go get them. So it's going to be a challenge because we don't see this a lot. But we're going to try to keep it simple and attack them when we know where the ball's at. So.
Okay, now, you and I had the opportunity to play some golf with Tim Walsh last summer. I was concerned with trying to win the match. Were you concerned with trying to get a few tips, a few secrets, knowing you were going to face him this year?
Oh, no. Tim's actually probably the one football coach out there in college that's smarter than I am. So I kind of
just one.
I kind of hung back and listened to him, and he's done everything. I'm trying to re-implement some things he's done here. So he's a guy I've known for a few moons in a high hello. I've never coached with him, but I followed him. I met him when he first got the Portland State job. So I like a lot of stuff he does. So no, that was a learning day. More. I didn't want to ask too much, and I knew I couldn't hit the ball that well, so I just kind of hung out.
Okay, last question. It's Barnum at the movies time.
Okay.
Getting on a bus, going to split it up over 2 days, but getting on a bus, you have to have the movies loaded up.
This one's actually choreographed, like the whole season's been, Mike. Going down Thursday, we're going to get to Concord. The next day, we're renting a couple ferries. We're going to take them out and give them a tour of Alcatraz. So Thursday's videos, first I'll give them a National Geographic, actually a factual one on the prison and what it is, and then we're going to watch The Rock. It's a movie.
That's a great movie.
Fantasy that took place on Alcatraz. Just so when they get out there, Americana kind of comes together, and Burbank, Hollywood, and all that, they'll see it live and learn something about America's history.
All right, well, you can't go wrong with Sean Connery. That's Viking football with Bruce Barnum. Once again, the Vikings playing at Cal Poly this Saturday. It's a 6:05 p.m. kickoff. Game's not televised, but you can see a live stream of the football game. You can listen to the game on the radio. All the information is at govikes.com.